Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. And real quick, you guys, we are running a SAR team and we've stumbled upon a couple people from Asheville, and I thought it would be really important to get their testimony because we have a business owner right here. How are you doing, sir?
Good.
And
Cody.
So we got Cody here. We got our man here. He's a guide. What do we got there, buddy? We got Paddle and Pints. Can you just start by telling us what happened here and how the response has been as far as the recovery from FEMA and the community?
All right, well, obviously what happened here was Helene and the massive flooding, particularly in this area known as the River Arts District. The response was kind of amazing from the community as a whole. Pretty much every day, everybody out doing whatever they could. The most amazing part, everyone just assuming good faith on behalf of everyone else. That was kind of amazing. Obviously, we're through that period, and now we're into the cleanup, rebuild process. As we were talking about off camera, the big part now is the slow burn of the economic fallout. I think a lot of the towns living on their savings, unemployment, and donations, and obviously that's not going to last forever. We were actually running this stretch of river because this is the stretch of river Paddles and Pints runs and stops at the breweries and the businesses in the River Arts District. We're kind of checking this section out to see if we're going to be able to run it again. Hopefully we are. Hopefully the businesses are back, and hopefully lots of people come to visit us again come spring and summer. We're going to need a lot of love from all the tourists who've been here to come back and help us out again.
Can you tell us about what you were saying earlier about how the unemployment is starting to run out as well? And are you noticing anyone like just struggling to pay rent and to pay their mortgage?
I think a lot of people still, are going on the unemployment. That's going to come to a close. Pretty much weekly, daily, you hear another businesses that's going to have to call it quits. So it's hard to tell where it's going to go. We're just kind of all braced for that expectation that that's going to happen. I don't know too many people that I can say, haven't been able to make rent and mortgages yet. Obviously, that goes on, and it's going to start becoming a much bigger thing. I know, like, the place we live, some other places, landlords, at least for like October, November, just waived rent, helping out. We'll see how it goes in the future.
I asked you earlier if that I ran into some people from Asheville that they must be on the nice part of Asheville, and they're like, don't worry, I live in Asheville. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing needed. And you like laughed and like, then they don't know what's going on. So, as someone that's here in Asheville, and I want to get to your friend here and I want to talk about his business and how the public can help support him and thrive. But first, can you just explain to anyone in Asheville or in this area that is doubting the need for recovery and what you witnessed as far as traveling, because I think you said you also went to Irwin and other places. So can you just share with the residents from Asheville that are in denial or that don't think any help is needed? Can you just tell them what you've seen?
Well, I guess my thought on that, I can understand people in Asheville, particularly those who have been out to Swannanoa, been up to Poplar, Spruce Pine, Irwin, all of Madison County. Comparatively, we're in really good shape. We didn't suffer nearly as much. We had a lot of businesses obviously lost a lot, but we didn't have the huge full-scale residential areas quite the extent that those places did. So my assumption is when people say Asheville is fine, it's more of a comparative. I think there's also initially, we needed water, we needed food, we needed those things. Yeah. We're past that stage now. Now we need the recovery, the rebuilding, the restoration of businesses, and eventually, once we're fully back up and running, the return of all of our tourist industry again.
Can you tell us the worst hit area that you've seen and why?
The worst hit area I've personally seen is all out in Swannanoa, along the Swannanoa River, where you just see full-on neighborhoods, people's homes, all of their lives basically washed away. As many people have seen, some of them are still camped out, either in sheds or tents and RVs on their property, trying to hold on to what little they have. And from my perspective, when I tell people Asheville's okay, because that's my comparison. Compared to pre-flood, obviously we're not okay, but compared to other areas, we're okay.
And a couple more things, man. Are you concerned about the homeless that were maybe camped along the Swannanoa River? and then maybe, any homeless in Asheville. I looked at information that said there's 800 to 900 homeless in Asheville. I don't know if they're included in the missing or the death toll. Do you have any concerns about the homeless count and also specific to Schwannanoa and that river flooding?
I mean, presumably we now have more homeless. Presumably homeless lost what little they had in their encampments along the river. My vague understanding is a lot of those people were essentially included in the missing because they weren't, totally off the radar. There's various organizations in town, like particularly Beloved, that kind of keeps an eye and has, the finger on the pulse of that. So presumably they're mostly accounted for. From personal experience, some of the folks in the neighborhood I recognize, we've seen them post-flood.
Did you see any response or a good response from FEMA?
We definitely saw FEMA people out and about. Of course, most people, I got my 750 like most people got from FEMA.
Congratulations.
Seeing the ambulance crews early on, they've got the little thing in the window. So from that stage, yes, Also, obviously, in the immediate aftermath, saw huge military presence. I think it was the 101st Airborne, whoever it was. But yeah, just lots and lots of people out and about. And obviously, it's hard to distinguish who's on their own, who's from an organization, and who's from FEMA, because largely what they do is funding, and you don't necessarily really see the funding in action.
And can you tell the viewers what is the most important thing for recovery right now?
You should probably talk to an expert about that, but obviously, like anything else, it's cash. Feel free to send cash to the river organizations like French Broad Riverkeeper, Beloved, Habitat for Humanity, whoever else you can find. And then the big thing is, come on back, come visit us, come to our restaurants, come to our shows, and come on down the river. We'll take you anytime, but come back in the spring and summer.
We got Cody here. Cody, let me hand you the mic. Tell us about your business.
So it's called Cedar Rock Adventures. We've been going since 2019, and it's a tourism-based business to go down the river. So we go brewery hopping by raft and canoe down this section of the river. It's about a 4-mile stretch, and we stop at several breweries along the river. So it's a great way to be a tourist, come in, get outside, paddle, and taste the local food and brews. And this was our reconnaissance trip. First time that I've been on the river since the flood happened, because our main section that we stop at, the River Arts District, it's wiped out. So we had 12 Bones Brewery, it's gone. The Wedge Brewery, it's gone. Marquee, which is a artist collective, it's gone. And so that's one of our main stops. And so those businesses just literally got swept away. The Pleb Winery, the building's gone. The only thing that's left is a concrete foundation.
And tell us what you saw out on the river when you were reconning.
Actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. The first stretch was pretty pristine. Where it got bad is when the Schwannanoa River comes into the French Broad. The Schwannanoa is the most hard hit, and that just took out houses, buildings, cars. And so when that Schwannanoa met up with the French Broad, it's about halfway down the trip, that's where everything changed. And all of a sudden we saw a lot of debris, and one part of the river has been rerouted. It looks different underneath the bridge than I'd ever seen it. It looks like the Schwannanoa came through and just ripped out sections and has kind of rerouted the river. There's a ton of debris, lots of plastic. That's gonna be the hardest part. There's little pieces of plastic up in the trees, and some of them are up 20 feet. So it's gonna be a challenge to get up there and get that. You need some kind of long 20-foot grandpa grabber type thing to grab the plastic out.
Can you talk to maybe some business owners now, maybe they lost their business, and can you maybe give them some encouragement and also tell the viewers what you plan on doing to get your business back and what type of help that you would need to keep this economy here in Asheville running?
Well, what we need, obviously, are tourists. We need people to come back. Our population is about 90,000 people. A lot of people are unemployment, lost their jobs. So for us as locals to go out and support all the restaurants, breweries, artist galleries, we can't afford to do it. So folks that have disposable income, that want a vacation, it's time to come back to Asheville. Hotels are opened back up, breweries are running. Come on back and put the money back in the economy, because a lot of the tourism, server industry, the servers are struggling. Restaurants aren't at capacity, and a lot of people, they're relying on that tip money from serving at a restaurant to pay the bills, and without people coming in, filling those restaurants up, people are lacking income, and we're just going to end up potentially seeing an exodus of server population leaving, and they're like, we need to go someplace, Key West, Chicago, Boston. It's like, and if we lose our workforce for Asheville, it's really going to just perpetuate this drag. I mean, I'm not sure about my business. Are we going to have enough people coming back to Asheville in the spring, the summer, to keep our beer tour business going? So it's all up in the air.
He said that compared to other places, this is not hard hit. But I mean, this is not hard hit. It's crazy because this is hard hit. And I want to say, all I see out here helping and working are civilians. I mean, the boat's down there. They're taking the boat out. They're running dogs. They're searching for people. They're getting marks to this day. They got 15 marks yesterday in Swannanoa. So there's still a lot more work needing to be done that I feel like the public's not aware. So can you share with us what you saw personally as far as FEMA? And I know they are coordination, but can you just set the tone for municipality versus community?
I have no complaints with FEMA. I feel like I've seen FEMA on boots on the ground, showed right up, doing work. I applied for that $750. I got it. They even approved me for the 30-day hotel voucher, which I didn't end up needing. So I have felt very supported by FEMA and the government. But the river cleanup, it's really grassroots.
All that white you see there is potentially human remains. So I'm gonna go back in, we're gonna shoot it again.
It's for when we've got buildings demolished. I mean, you can turn around and look behind us. This road right here, that bridge is not usable. And this is a main artery that connects. That's the New Belgium Brewery over there, coming over this area. And Tim and I, we just came today to drive, and we both forgot, and we both tried to come across the bridge. We're like, oh God, we can't go that way. And so we got to go reroute a different direction. And I don't know when this is going to get opened back up. I mean, that is structurally unsound. So it can't be driven across. And I don't know if that's going to be open in a month, 3 months, 4 months. It's crazy.
So it's fair to say that FEMA's good with the $750. It's fair to say that they're good with putting people in a hotel for 30 days. But it doesn't seem like they're good in any other capacity. Maybe I'm wrong because I'm looking around here. Can you tell the viewers, because a lot of people are confused, does FEMA have anything for like business owners that lost anything?
Well, there are a lot of grants going on. I haven't needed to apply for one because my business is seasonal. So I was already shut down for the season anyway. But I have gone online and I've seen that there's a lot out there. So as to how successful it is, how easy it is to get those funds, I don't know because I didn't apply. So it's hard for me to answer that of whether I feel like the government is providing those resources and supports. I do know that I've heard that a lot of people up in Swannanoa that are in tents, they have not received, there was talk about them receiving trailers. And I've heard that those trailers haven't happened, partly because people that lived on the river in a floodplain, my understanding is that FEMA will not put a trailer back on a floodplain because it could flood again. And then the question is, so if your property is on the river and you've been granted a trailer, but if you don't have a new property to go put this trailer on, where do you go? So I know there's a lot of people living on their land with their house demolished in a tent, and we've had 20-degree nights, and that's not sustainable. And it's only early December. I mean, winter's just getting started. So we've still got all of December, January, February into March that people are going to be living in the cold. So yes, there is a need for FEMA or some government organization to figure out how to get the homeless into a shelter with heat and running water. That's not sustainable for months on end.
If you can tell the viewers what currently, obviously it's middle of December, we're nearing week 10. Obviously there's probably chemicals everywhere, who knows what's in the water, but what is your personal biggest concern as a resident of Asheville?
Oh, biggest concern? I would say just financial. Everyone's, a lot of businesses are shut down. For myself, I don't know whether I will have business again in April. So I have enough money to sort of get through the winter with the assumption that things start back up. If things don't start back up, then I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So yeah, y'all need to come to Asheville and come do a beer tour with me in April.
And just one last time, man, I just wanted to tell you guys, to you both, I really appreciate your time. Can you just say one more time how the viewers can get a hold of you?
www.cedarrockadventures.com.
Check them out. See if you can't support them. Maybe you can rent a raft from them. Come help search the SAR team. The SAR team's down here. And real quick, just for my viewers, I made a video. People want me to issue an apology, so I just quickly wanted to issue an apology. But quickly, let me show you why I was upset. Take a listen to this video.
Not going to be willing to stand up for Americans and take it down, because not everyone's going to see this video that watches her stuff, and it's going viral because she's the tickling of the ear. They interviewed her in a way to say all the things we want to hear, the things we know to be true, but they're scammers. They're basically homeless addicts. Another one flew in from Florida just a couple of days ago. I've got a witness who paid for their Airbnb, who spent a week with them. He confirmed they did nothing. All they do is drink and do alcohol. And they just got this new guy in there. They have broke down cars. He fixed one of them. And she recently had him take her to a true SAR team. There are a couple still here. Legit helicopters, the works. He drove her over there and she filmed herself next to them. She was talking to them saying, we can bring you heaters, or what do you need? But she got herself close enough to them to get some footage. So possibly my guess is so she can share it somewhere on the web to say they're a legit SAR team. They are not a SAR team. They don't have drones. They don't even have cars. How can you be a SAR team, a search and rescue team, if you don't even have a working car? He had to fix her car for her because they're all a hunk of junk, because these are homeless drifters taking advantage of our situation, taking advantage of you guys out there who are so kind and donating to the situation, and taking advantage of the victims here who need your support and help for real things. So please go to any video she's in, spread this far and wide. Do not associate with anybody. If there's anybody out there that is still connected to her, they are scammers.
But that's why I was a little upset. So Stephanie, I'm sorry that I judged you. It's a bad idea for anyone to judge anyone else that's here trying to help. So I'm sorry. And having said that, if you want to come out here and you want to go with me and you want to see what I'm saying and maybe get a better idea on why people can get a little bit emotional and seem a little bit distraught, email me and I will take you out myself.